I know we've been kind of bouncing all around. I'd like to go for about 10 more minutes. Are you guys okay if we do just a little bit of like, we were talking lightly about payroll. What about clocking in and out? You guys want to see clocking in and out? That's about a 10-minute deal. Okay, great. So really quick, what we're going to do, just to kind of give you a quick thing, users get to use time cards, which eventually get into payroll, which eventually we pay for, okay? Which eventually we have to account for in P&L and balance sheet because money comes out and we have to record expenses. So they end up getting, but this is kind of some of the payroll parts of the puzzle here, okay? So we're going to jump into there. So here's how we're going to do it. From the home page, first off, I'm going to look to see if I have clock in and out as a permission, okay? Clock in and out, according to the system. You still have an open one. Oh, I actually have to go, just a minute, I have to go flip one. It's basically saying, I'm not going to let you clock in and out here. You have another one that's open. So let me go change one just so that we can actually clock in and out. So I'm going to switch corporations, go to Morningstar. This is just kind of a demo site. This is actually not the original Morningstar. That one is, it's actually completely called something different. This was just kind of a tribute, if you will. So we're here, and I'm going to say clock in and out on this guy. And it says, next action needed is a clock out, going home, forgot to clock out. Okay, so I'm going to switch and go back to the extreme transportation. This is actually flipping to a different world, okay? Like you'll notice that the colors will change and their settings and all that kind of stuff. So pretend that I'm back home and I have clock in and out. Now if I click on, oh cool, look, it says, you know what, according to this, you have never done anything, ever. So what we're going to do is we're going to clock in and out. Start work, and you can add a note or not. The notes are searchable, so if you wanted to, that really helps. These notes are searchable. Clock in. It automatically sends you off to My Hours, where it kind of starts saying, cool, we're going to start seeing how long you've been here, okay? Now, in the background, I can't edit any of this. The only things that I can actually do is do another clock in and out, and then it's ready for my clock out, okay? I can't edit this unless you have the manager or admin permissions, okay? So let's just for fun, let's pretend that we're going live. It's getting about that time. Once I clock out, it'll just kind of keep track of what's going on. So it says I'm at 0.01 hours. Well, you'll notice that there's no edit links. I have no ways to do this. I can search, go backwards. I can search by notes. I can do lots of different things, but I can't edit my stuff. So we're going to go home, and I'm going to show you some cool ones. These are also permissions. We're going to go to the admin time clock. There is a manager's time clock. It's at intermediate level as well. Like instead of seeing everybody in the system, they just see people that they're assigned to or certain departments. So we're going to go to the admin time clock, and I'm going to click here. With this kind of permissions, I now have a ton more information. I now have links to get back into there. So I said started work at 11:50. Actually, I know that we were in here at 9 o'clock a.m. this morning, okay? So I can go 9 a.m., okay, whatever, update the clock in. So now it's saying 9 a.m. to 11:50, and it's recording a note. Hey, just so you know, Adilas demo modified this, okay? So now if I go back to my admin time clock, you'll see a little flag that says, hey, there has been a modification made, but it's now calculating it out at 2.89 hours instead of at the 0.002 or whatever it was, okay? So like these little flags, this one right here, you can tell that it's still a natural date. It was entered and nothing happened. But as soon as you see a flag, it just tells you, hey, somebody has touched that. But let's pretend that it's me again, and I'm going to jump out of the admin time clock, and I say, go show me my hours. It still shows me the little flag, but it now shows me all of my pieces. But I can't change it. The admin person or the manager had to change that type of thing for me, okay? If you do have the admin capabilities, we're just going to jump in there for a second. You have a bunch of different little things. You can add time cards for users. You can clock in for a user. Say you knew that they were on a job, and you're like, hey, I'm traveling right now, can you clock me in? Yeah, I'll clock you in. Like, it could be this easy. Clock in. And then you could choose whoever you wanted. Say I wanted to clock in Brandon, and actually he's not in, I think just the only two that we actually have set up are Adilas Demo and Adilas Auto. Let's call it Adilas Auto. 8:27, and we're going to clock him at 9 a.m. as well. He's going to start work, and we're going to say, okay, whatever you wanted to do, something like that. Boom, clock in. So basically, this is the little note that happens. You can now see, because we're in the admin time clock, I'm now having multiple people that are kind of showing up as far as who's there. Now, if he ends up getting in there later on, he can actually go in and clock out. Or if later on, if I had to fix it for him, I could now go in and just fix it for him as well. Like, I just wanted to show you could actually clock in for somebody, and then they can finish it. Or you can add a whole one, or you can add ones in bulk. Like, hey, I need to put in hours for Tom, Dick, Fred, Jerry, you know, I want to do 10 time cards at once, and they all got from here to here, and here's my notes, go. We can blast in 10. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and finish this in case this person tries to log in and then just doesn't know what's going on. I'm just going to say going home, and boom, he's done. I'll go back to my admin time clock so that you can kind of see where the flags are starting to show up as far as who's modifying what. Here's the one where you can do, here's a new time card for a user. Here's the multi-user. I'll show you the multi one real quick. So say we wanted to do sales and we wanted to add to both of these guys and we wanted to back it up for yesterday. So we're going to change it to 6 and we're going to go from 8 a.m. start work. We're going to take it out all the way to yesterday as well at 3 o'clock p.m. 3:30. We're going to say that's when we're going home. Whatever you wanted to do there, say add the time card. So it's not showing up on this particular report because guess what? The date was yesterday. But if I go like this, back it up just a little bit and say, hey, go show me what I got. I actually added in those bulk ones right here. You'll notice how these ones are the exact same, the dates, the times, and all that kind of stuff because we did it in bulk. So there's tons of different little ways that you can do these type of deals. If you're pulling payroll, it actually pulls that kind of stuff too. Like it'll pull your hours in. So if we click home and we come here to payroll homepage, and we hit go, and we say come down and we say, you know what, let's get Adilas Demo again. And that's great. Go ahead and calculate that. Okay, so this part was not there before. Okay, this whole thing is hourly type stuff based on what his pay rate is. So it's automatically starting to pull this stuff in to then put it into payroll. Okay, tells you how many hours and how many this and how many all this kind of stuff. So one of the reasons that this was actually developed is because here's where we started, stock units and users. And as we started doing it, pretty soon we were like, wow, we now can pull commissions. So then we did payroll. Well, heck, if we're doing payroll, why don't we also take this old digital, you know, like the one that you would physically stick in your thing, why don't we digitize that? And then we can pull this and this. We can have these reports. Like, it's been kind of a fun process, but the whole thing has literally been like, see a need, fill a need, go to the next step. Get some more pain. Usually that's actually what happens, okay? Oh my goodness, we need some help here. See a need, fill that need, get some more pain. So everything kind of keeps processing like that. But that's been kind of fun. We've bounced all over the place today, and I realize it's kind of been a little bit random. This afternoon, here's what our plan is for this afternoon, okay? I'm going to grab my little highlighter. We are going to be right here. We're going to be vendors, POs, general inventory, invoices and quotes, shopping carts, and customers. Okay? Towards the afternoon, we're going to kind of start tracking things on this level and kind of playing more with items instead of stock units. This morning, we were primarily around stock units, but it was kind of fun to show how they're very interconnected, and that's where we started, and that's actually what ended up building the whole rest of these pieces. the reason that we added vendors and POs and general inventory is because the stock units, eventually we had a parts department that we needed to track those, and then we needed to take stuff from our parts department and put it onto the stock units. And so the stock units literally were the foundation of where we started. Okay, it doesn't mean that has to be where other people start. Some people never ever even play with that at all, but that's where the whole system kind of got built. Really quick before we go to lunch, Tanya, can I ask you what you pulled out of just this morning's little session, and then Shannon, I'll ask you, and then if anybody has a comment from online, if they can chime that in, and then we'll go ahead and break for lunch, okay? Tanya.
So I am not an accountant. I never have been. I don't like accounting.
Okay.
But I can see how the decisions I make in terms of what I enter can help my accounting department, or I could even do some rudimentary accounting in my own business if I was at that level.
Absolutely.
So this gives me tools where I can make accounting decisions without having a lot of accounting training.
Okay, correct. Right in line, in flow.
Right.
Good call. Awesome. Shannon.
My comment was that I was thinking of is actually similar to Tanya's, in that I think one of the most powerful things is how it just cascades through everything. Once you put something in, you find it in other places. Once you have inventory come in, that automatically means you need to pay for something. Once you have something you've sold to a customer, that automatically means you have money. And I just think, yeah, that cascading effect in those relationships is so powerful.
Sometimes people see this and they're like, okay, yeah, whatever. Like, this is loaded.
Yeah.
Okay, so when we say characters and relationships and trouble and decisions and choices and consequences and cause and effects, and then we're tracking things over time, we're separating it by permissions, systems, we're interconnecting all these different little things and stuff like this, we're eventually getting down to the bottom line is what is going on. What is the story, okay? And so these look like really simple things, but if you mix and blend some of these concepts with some of these other things like inventory tracking or expense tracking or payroll or accounting, all of a sudden you're starting to kind of get some of these things. And you can't get to these pieces unless you have your players. We've already talked briefly about customers, invoices. We did a vendor. We sent some expense receipts. We haven't touched POs. We haven't touched parts. We spent quite a bit of time on stock units. We did one little deposit, et cetera. Like, these are how we actually get you to your end goal, which makes results equals a mix of functions, players, and concepts. Okay? This is a small little flyer that's right on the main homepage. It doesn't really have a little thing because it kind of needs a little explanation. Like, basically, to tell you just really quick on the background of this, is Shannon and I were working on the developer's notebook, and we have years and years of all these things. And we're like, oh my goodness. Sure, we can categorize it by June of 2012 or something like this, but we really want to kind of categorize these things. So we kind of figured out some of our basic, what are our functions that we provide, okay? Who are our players, and what are the core concepts? And then we're going to kind of categorize the stuff according to that. And so that's futuristically coming, but that's where this thing actually came from. It didn't come as like, oh, if you read this, you'll totally understand everything. It was kind of our categories in a way. Like, here's where I think things need to kind of come into play. But anyway, it's called the Atlas Formula is the name of that PDF. Cool. Let's go ahead and do lunch. Any comments from online, Shannon?
Yeah, Joe said thanks for the tutorial on the stock units, that he caught about half of it, and there was some great stuff in there.